Hey, I'm Sheena Shuey. I'm a registered social worker and host of the 4Q podcast. I'm passionate about normalising, not pathologising life, and that's not easy. So each episode, I have amazing guests on to share the messy, beautiful ups and downs of life in 4 key questions with tips and tricks along the way. There are moments in life where you can embrace your story and understand that it's okay not to feel okay sometimes. So let's get into it. This is the 4Q podcast. Hello there, hello. Today we are going to reflect on the topic of abnormal reactions in abnormal situations are normal. So let me repeat that again. Abnormal reactions in abnormal situations are normal. Now, for those of you who follow me on Instagram, I did do a live on this and unfortunately the video went missing. Technology. But I just want to talk about this topic today and get an understanding of where it comes from and what this means. So if we can redefine this for a moment and really get down to the definition of this. So when I say abnormal, I need to clarify that there's no such thing as normal. So many people I work with and speak to go, oh, I just want to be normal. I just want to feel normal. And unfortunately, for those of you listening, I'm here to tell you that there's no such thing as normal. There's what society tries to paint a brush as normal, but that normal doesn't exist. You know, the person who can work and clean and cook and take care of her family and have tons of friends and look perfect and have the perfect house and be on top of everything. That person does not exist. And so we really need to define what normal means to us. And so when I say abnormal, I mean not normal for you. So an abnormal reaction for one person might be a normal reaction for another person. So when I say an abnormal reaction to an abnormal situation is normal, I want to give you some context is where I first heard this phrase. So I first heard this phrase from a beautiful lecturer that I had, a professor that I had, Judith Murray at the University of Queensland at St Lucia in Brisbane. And when she spoke it to me, it was in the context of grief and loss. So when she was teaching us about that quote, she basically was saying that when people experience a huge grief and loss event, it's perfectly normal for them to have sort of erratic behavior or behavior that isn't themselves. So, you know, if somebody loses a job or loses a child, loses a partner, loses their house, like something very large and unexpected, it's totally normal for that person to not be themselves. So, crying for days, not being able to get out of bed, feeling really anxious, feeling really hypervigilant. And the reason she was telling us that is because she wanted to normalize that reaction. It's totally normal for somebody to act like that when something bad happens. Because sometimes if you don't have that perspective, it could be really easy without the context of the grief to go, oh, she's depressed, she's anxious. And it's like, well, no, that's grief, okay? That is grief because the life she once had or he once had or they once had is no longer, and they have to adjust to the world that is. So there was the world that was and there was the world that is now. And collectively, that is what we're going through. We are going through a world that was in 2019 to the world that is now. above and beyond. It's 2021 now when I record this, but it may be later for you. But acknowledging that times have changed for many things, obviously including the day-to-day activities, but we're undoing a lot of collective unconditioning. So we're undoing things like patriarchy and colonization and so many issues. So it's a lot, okay? It's a lot, and it's very abnormal. The amount of change that we're experiencing at the rate that we're experiencing it is hugely abnormal. And so for us to not be ourselves in this situation is normal. So if you're eating more, drinking more, stressed more, anxious more, burnt out more, that's okay. Of course, it doesn't feel okay. It doesn't mean that, you have to go on like that. But what it does mean is that you are having a healthy reaction, okay? I think sometimes in our Western society, we run away from uncomfortableness and we want to fix it. Let's medicate, let's fix, let's do whatever. Rather than sitting with the fact that, we're in a really shitty situation, okay? Like, it's not great. We will get through this together, but it's acknowledging that, and it's kind of putting together some boundaries in place around it. Now, the thing I want to add about this abnormal reactions to abnormal situations is that even prior to COVID, prior to the last few years that have been, like the last couple of years, 2020 and beyond, that have been fairly different, something that I have mentioned several times is that it is abnormal for human beings to live in the fast-paced environment that we live in now. So anthropological studies show us we're not meant to be working 40-hour weeks. We're not meant to be child rearing on our own, cleaning on our own, having like all the responsibilities and tasks on our own, as well as all the information being thrown at us daily. Like, if you can imagine maybe 400, 500 years ago in a town, we would get the local news, which might be one news article a day. A day. One new bit of information a day. Okay? I don't think any of us can comprehend that. I can watch 10 reels or 10 TikToks and find out 10 new bits of information. And that's in 1.5 minutes. So it's a very different world that we live in terms of the amount of information that we absorbed. And that is abnormal to human beings. And so I guess part of my mission and part of what we do at Savasana Collective, in Shavasana Collective, however you have a preference for saying it, is really getting people to understand that if you feel stressed, anxious, depressed, burnt out in a capitalist society like we have in the Western world, that's normal. If you were functioning perfectly okay in that environment, I would be concerned. And so it's not you, it's our society. And so that's why it does really break my heart when people blame themselves and saying, I should be this, I should be that, I just need to take medication and everything. Like, medication's not going to change the environment you live in, right? We all have our own journey with mental health, and obviously the way our parents raise us and the friendships we have and the workplace we have all have a huge effect on how we feel. And so it's this interaction between the parents and the family we grew up with, the social interactions we have and the community we have, and then the environments we're in. That's what affects mental health. And so just know that if you keep thinking to yourself, I should be feeling different, I shouldn't be this way, or you're having reactions that are different for yourself, so abnormal for yourself, just know that it's okay and that there's help there. I have myself and some other contractors at Shavasana Collective that can help you. But also there's so many resources out there, amazing books. Just please know, start your journey of self-development. Go deeper. Understand that this isn't you, but our whole society, and we can uncondition ourselves. We can redefine what a healthy, meaningful, loving life looks like, and understand that our natural pace might be different. So how can I change my life to suit the lifestyle pace that I need to have for myself? So that kind of brings us to our redesign of, now that I understand, okay, abnormal situations lead to abnormal reactions, and that's totally normal. How can I respond to that? What can I do? Well, first of all, it's being okay with yourself, like going, it's okay that I don't feel perfect right now. It's okay that I may not be managing right now. Anybody else in my situation would feel exactly the same way. So I'm not broken. There is not something wrong with me. I need to let go of the ridiculous expectations that I have internalized from society, okay? Because we often don't realize when we've internalized the perfect wife kind of monologue from society, and we need to let go of that. So letting go of that, and then I guess reaching out for help, however that looks like for you, and setting boundaries again. So remember how I said that the first time I heard this analogy was in a grief situation? We're all grieving our lives that seem so normal prior to COVID, right? We're all grieving that things aren't how they used to be, and that's okay. So when someone is grieving, you don't expect them to cook 3 meals a day, to clean every day. Like, you don't expect them to operate in a way that they were prior to the loss, like while they're grieving. But what they do need is support, they need love, and they need to do what feels right for them. So for you, that's setting some boundaries around, do I really need to go on social media today? Do I really need to take in all the news reports today? Do I really need to see people that I don't want to see? Like, if you feel obligated to see certain people or friends or family, it's okay not to see them sometimes. It's okay to just put a boundary and go, you know what? I cannot bring you my best energy right now. And it's not, that's okay. I'm giving you permission to say that's okay not to see people if you don't feel like it, and then reaching out for support, whatever that may look like. If it's one-on-one therapy with someone like myself or my contractors and co-workers, great. If it's kinesiology, if it's Reiki, is it chiro, is it massage, is it Pilates, is it yoga, is it climbing a mountain, is it connecting with nature, is it meditation, journaling, walking, drinking, singing, being happy. Follow that joy, follow that bliss. As Joseph Campbell says, it's like, just follow that bliss, which is such a, it's turned into a cliche, but he did study all the ancient stories, and they all come down to, when you follow your joy, amazing things happen. So it's just your reminder to do one thing consistently. And I would say, engage with a professional consistently, and have some sort of practice you do on your own consistently. So that might be, let's say you get Reiki consistently. There's a professional there who's helping you with Reiki. You do that consistently, and then you might journal consistently. So you've got a practice you do on your own and a practice that you do with somebody else that co-regulates you. Do both of those things consistently, and you will have amazing results, rather than trying to walk and journal and meditate and do all these things. Do 2 things really well, one that involves another person, a professional, and one that involves your own practice, and you'll see amazing things happen. Same with if you go to therapy and then you also get in nature a lot. those are two really amazing practices that don't take much, that can regulate you tremendously. So keeping realigned is really about consistency. Consistency is such an annoying phrase, but it really comes down to that. It's just that domino effect. You know, one meditation may not change your life, but once you've done it for several years, like if you meditated once a week for 2 years and you meditated 104 times, that accumulation has massive changes for you, your life, your mindset, your mood, your energy. And it's just something that you did once a week. It adds up. So I really encourage you to think about that. So if you want to connect with us, I'm launching a new Ladies Who Luncheon series. And, you know, for the men out there, I may interact with you as well, around connecting just for half an hour on Zoom. I think many of us, including myself, have a lot of Zoom fatigue, but I think if we can connect just for half an hour, chuck on some lippy, you know, make ourselves feel good, connect, ask me any questions you have, bring your lunch. I think it will feel really light, really fun, really good way to connect. So if you're interested in that, please send me a message on Instagram. It's going to be super cheap, like $7 to $10. And it's only because I want us to be intentional about it. You know, you pay attention when you pay. And so if I made it free, I don't think we would all be as intentional about it. So let me know if you're interested in that. I'd love to connect. Even if there's just a few of us, it ends up working out better because there's more room for us to connect. So please send me a message on that. I do have some one-on-one spots available, and that's it. And also, I realize I always forget that not everyone sees all the content that I put out there. I have some good news in that I am pregnant for the second time with a baby boy. So for those of you listening at the time of this recording or when this comes out, that our boy is due February 2022. And yeah, it's been a really mixed bag of emotions, but I'll talk about that in another episode. But yes, announcing that for those who don't know, that's reality. So anyway, have a wonderful day, wonderful week, wonderful month. I'm so glad that you came to this space and invested in you for this time. And be kind to yourself. If you feel like there's someone who would really benefit from just hearing today's episode, please share it with them. And please give us a positive reviews on Apple and Spotify, and all of those platforms make a huge deal in the podcasting world. So my gratitude to you always if you can take the time to do that. All right, have a wonderful day, and I will see you next episode of the 4Q podcast. Take care.